Bonjour, everybody. Hi, this is Neshi Lilkotz, and you are on Star Nation's fan page, the main fan page for the publishing and magazine and radio network, Star Nations. It is Wednesday morning, and holy cow, it has been a very busy morning. I am usually doing this live stream at 10, and because that has always been my I forgot to turn my headphones on. I don't know if I can do that now. Hopefully you can hear me. I usually do this at 10. And I missed the time frame for the 10 o'clock because we had the palliative nurse here to see my mom. And she comes every 3 months or so, just to do the basic check on for my mom. And so it lasted a little bit longer than it usually does. And so I do apologize for that. My intention was to do this at 10 o'clock every morning to share the card draw with you. And I'm out in the Four Season porch. We had rain since last night, thunderstorms, which was kind of cool actually. You know, I have to say there is nothing better than sleeping with the windows open just a little bit, and you can hear the rain on the roof, you know, and how that sounds. I just love that. And so I had a good night's sleep, not many hours, but a good night's sleep. And today, right now, you can kind of hear it on the glass roof. It's not raining anymore, but it's the coming off from the maple tree that is just above the branches are just above the roof line. So, so welcome. This morning is Wednesday morning, May 9th, and 2018, right? And a rainy day. So let's get to it. The card draw this morning, it's always I always wonder, when Spirit gives us this kind of information and how that plays out for the day. And that's one of the reasons why I started doing this card draw a long time ago, was just to kind of watch how the day unfolds and the information on how helpful it could be in the unfoldment of that day. And today is a prime example of that. Good morning, Margaret. Good morning. I don't know if you're on the East Coast or not. I forget where you live. It could be almost lunchtime there, I suppose. It's my first cup for the day. First cup of coffee. The nurse's visit went just fine. It was went a little bit longer than usual, and although mom is doing fine, she's doing good. It's just aging, the changes with aging and going over pain medication and that kind of stuff, and it just takes a little bit longer to get through those questions. So anyway, today's card draw. Actually, I got two cards, and I don't. At least it's not 5 like it was yesterday, right? And I know some people probably are thinking, oh, she won't be on today. It's 11 o'clock. We're getting close to 11. But you guys can always catch the video, recorded video, right? All right, so these are the 2 cards I got today. And I know that's going to show up backwards in there on the picture. But the first one is about painted face. I didn't get the and it's about self-expression. And take a look at that artwork on that card. Isn't that something? And there again, there is the color of the medicine wheel, according to the East Coast Native Americans. Hi, Cindy. East Coast Native Americans, which means there's the red, there's the yellow, there's the black, there's the white, and there's also blue. Okay, rather than the black that you would see on maybe the, like the Lakota medicine wheel. Okay, painted face. Good morning, Cindy. And the other card is Sacred Space. Sacred Space, and it's about respect, right? And, whoops, got the glare in there. Sacred space. I'm going to show you the artwork on this. It's a child sitting in the center of a circle. And the stones that are around the child are in different colors. And it looks like you have maybe people on the outside. It looks like their legs or their, no, I'm sorry. It's just the hide, picture of the hide. Okay, so he's within the circle of the stones, right? I like the artwork on these. I'm going to do the sacred space one first because that's the one that actually popped out first, was the sacred space one. And what Jamie Sams, I was actually kind of surprised a little bit by what she shared on the sacred space card. Sacred space, you know, for those of us who've been living consciously, awareness of our spiritual life, that we are a spiritual being having a physical experience, right? A lot of people in Star Nation's community have this belief system and are seekers of knowledge to help with that. And so there is the sacred space that Jamie Sams is writing about with this card is really about boundaries, which was kind of surprising to me at first. And that's why she has the child sitting in the middle of that circle and talking about sacred space. What she's saying is that our personal space is sacred. And we choose to allow certain energies, certain life experiences sometimes that enter into our sacred space. And that establishing or creating boundaries is a healthy thing. And I think we can all agree on that because, you know, in Star Nations, on our radio shows, our live stream shows, you know, we have talked about discernment. We have talked about setting boundaries, not just in the physical world, which is really, really good, but also in the spiritual world, is to set up those boundaries. And setting the boundaries is sometimes a challenge. Sometimes it's difficult because we're setting boundaries with people that we love. And are people that are, we might love them, but we might not like them so much, you know. Could be family, relatives, that one, you know, crazy uncle that you just, you know, you tolerate because that's your mom's brother or your dad's brother. But, you know, to be able to establish those boundaries, right? And that's what she calls sacred space. And what I loved about her description is that all of nature already knows and understands innately about the sacred space, their boundaries. That they establish their hunting territory, and other animals, or even of their own species, recognize the establishment of that hunting territory. And unless, she says, they're scared, you know, there's like a drought or something like that, that they're trying to reach water or food, that they will knowingly cross into another species territory. And it's only humans that we have challenges with boundaries. And she's saying, Jamie Sams is saying that when we start learning how to set boundaries when we're young, when we're children, that it's easier as adults to establish either new boundaries or to shore up existing boundaries. You know, maybe change the definition of those boundaries, because as a child, you've learned how to protect your sacred space. And I was thinking about that many times, you know, as children, our personal space, whether it's our bedrooms or our personal bodies, that those get invaded. And when we're not used to or don't know how to set those boundaries, we don't understand. Hi, Cindy. Good morning. We don't understand our sacredness, our personal sacredness, and that's what Jamie Sams is writing about in this particular card. And that's what the artwork is about. Is this child has learned how to establish his sacred space. And it's a different way of understanding sacred space. Usually when we're talking about sacred space, we're talking about ceremony. We're usually talking about establishing a sacred space so that we can heal, right? Jamie Sams has expanded that definition in my world and has included our physical space, our boundaries that we have set up, and that those boundaries establish our personal sacred space, both in the physical world and also in the spiritual. I think it's a good thing. And and now I understand why this card was selected by Spirit this morning. For me, watching the interplay between the palliative nurse and my mom, and having a difficult conversation about longevity care and that kind of thing, and watching being witness to the playing out of that discussion, and not that it was a bad thing or anything like that. It's just that my mom had not set up a boundary, and so I had to help facilitate that sacred space. So I don't know how this will play out for you today in the sacred space, establishing healthy boundaries to not to create, because we already have it. We already have our sacred space. It's claiming it. It's identifying it for ourselves, and so that others can feel it, whether they see it with their physical eyes, but we sense other people's boundaries with our energy field. Now, a long time ago, in a land far, far away called California, I was taking training with one of my first teachers, and it was with Feng Shui and Sacred Space. And it was interesting, because this is the memory that popped in after I read the card information, is that our teacher had us sensing another person's energy field, or how big that energy field is when you're approaching them, and to stop when you sense the other person's energy field. Okay, so it's kind of like dowsing in a way, but you're using your own body. And so I remember walking toward one of my classmates and sensing where the energy field was, right? And that other person's personal space, her sacred space. And I remember feeling it. And I took a couple of steps past it and realized that I had already passed the edge of it. And at that point, my teacher said, "Yeah, but you acknowledged it." And I said, "I did?" And I said, I took 2 steps past it." She goes, "No, what you did was that you paused and you looked down and then you looked back up." And I didn't even know I did that. It was subconscious. And hi, Minnie. I was just sharing about, and Minnie, you probably experienced this with Denise Lynn, is that sensing someone else's energy field, their sacred space. And anyway, the teacher basically said, "I did acknowledge it. I did, because I literally looked down, head down, And then I looked back up, and when I looked back up, I made eye contact with my classmate. And then I took the 2 steps past her edge of her energy field. And so what I'm trying to share with you is that we already have that sensation. We already have our senses that will tell us when we have reached the edge of another person's energy field, their sacred space. And if we turn our attention to it, we actually feel it. We sense it. And this is one of the cards for today, Jamie Sam's Sacred Path, Sacred Space, and it's about respect. Respecting someone else's sacred space. Recognizing it, acknowledging it, respecting it. And how do we learn how to do that? By acknowledging and respecting our own sacred space, our own boundaries, our own established boundaries, right? Yeah, Cindy Lynn. Love Denise Lynn's done lots of work with her. Yeah. She's done some really fantastic stuff. So this is the first card, Sacred Space, Respect. And like I said, we have talked about discernment and boundaries here at Star Nations quite a bit, actually. I wanted to read just a little bit about what Jamie Sams says about this card, the Sacred Space. She says, every inch of our Earth Mother is the home of one life form or another. We are guests in another's space when we leave our own. We share air, food, soil, water, and sunlight with all living things. We only have one Earth Mother, and by her grace, we are given the guardianship of our sacred spaces during our Earth walk. We must clean our personal sacred spaces in order to learn respect for others. The time is now, and the power is in the understanding the validity of each life form's right to life. And so, in understanding what our sacred space, hi Pam, our sacred space is, respecting it and claiming it because it's already there. Don't have to do anything more other than acknowledge it and claim it, and consciously set your boundaries. I say that like it's really easy, and I know it's not. Been there, done that, still doing it, right? So the application for this particular card, she says the Sacred Space card insists on respect for the possessions, ideas, homes, and persons of others. This also applies to demanding it for yourself. Mark your territory. Respect yourself so that others will see that reflection in themselves and in how they deal with you. Be willing to say no. Sacred space means that you consider your body, your feelings, and possessions sacred, and will not allow others to abuse them. Only invite those who have earned the right into your sacred space. You are the ones who set up how other people treat you through how you treat yourself. In all cases, the respect you show yourself and other life forms determines how you relate to the planetary family. If you allow others to be destructive in your sacred space, on some level, you don't have the guts to be disliked. It's not important to be liked by others, but it's important to be able to live with yourself. Happiness begins from within. And so basically, when the first time I read that, this is what I got from it, is that when others aren't used to you establishing and claiming your boundaries, claiming your sacred space, setting your boundaries, there may be people in your life that are only used to you being pervious. In other words, anything and everything practically can come through. Yeah? And good morning, Polly Joe. And so when we establish those boundaries and we understand them and claim them, there might be some others in your life that will be uncomfortable with it, will react to it, and that's okay. That's okay. You can do this as kindly and graciously as you want to be, you know, and it's okay. They might be angry with you for a little while until they get used to it. And if they don't get used to it, then maybe they're only meant to be with you for a shorter period of time. Who knows? Okay, so that is the first card. Cindy is saying, boy, do I need to hear this today. I've been having issues with a neighbor who has a dog they let run free and love to dig in my garden. Uh-oh. In your sacred space. You know, and we, you know, animal communicators, right, could probably help you with that. Help understand why the dog wants to come to your space to do what they're doing. And also to establish with the dog your boundaries. And you could probably do that on your own. I would check out Leslie Serenesi. She is one of our contributing writers here at Star Nations magazine, and she's an animal communicator. She's from Michigan. You can find her on Facebook. Polly Joe, would you mind typing in Leslie's, or maybe copying in her Facebook address? Good morning, Carla Joe. And, you know, that would be a way to establish your boundary. Yeah. It's not the dog's fault. Trying to establish the boundary. And the dog will probably understand it much faster and easier than their owners. That's what I'm thinking. All right, so I'm going to also give you the poem that she writes with this. And it's kind of nice. Sacred Space by Jamie Sims. Great mystery. Teach me honor, the laws of sacred space, the customs and traditions of every creed and race. Great mystery, teach me to develop the talents that I own and to behave with reverence in another's home. Great mystery, teach the child in me to accept with grace the part of great mystery found in every space. I like that one a lot. To accept with grace the part of sacred mystery found in every space. So that's about the respect part, right? Respecting others' sacred space. I like that. And here's the second card. Painted face, without the glare. Painted face. It's about self-expression. There we go. And again, the medicine wheel colors that are used in the artwork. And they are also using blue, which is different from those indigenous people across the Mississippi on the western side. They usually use black. The indigenous people here on Turtle Island, we use blue instead of black. Oh, shoot. Okay. I will put it in the comments then. Polly Joe is saying, I actually don't have Leslie's information. That's okay. I'll put it in the comments after we finish the live stream. Okay. And that way, Cindy, you'll have Leslie's information. So with the painted face, it's about self-expression and revealing yourself, your true self to others. Now, remember, I got these two cards together, right? These two cards came together. And so when we're talking about a painted face, there's a tribal belief among some of the tribes, some of the nations, that the painted face was used by warriors at one time to literally to scare their opponent. Fierce, fierce. And the colors a lot of times were colors that were given to them either by spirit or by a medicine person, by a holy person to use and for protection. And many times the color for the warrior's face paint was actually also went along with the colors that were put on their horse, because they were a team, right? They fought together. And so that was one way to do that, was to paint your face in in that way. There are, in tribal people, there are medicine people and holy people. Some people would call those people shamans, the holy people. They may paint their face to do certain ceremonies that are not public. There's kind of a rule of thumb that when you're in public, that you want to have your face seen, that you want people to know who you are. And that's one of the reasons why wearing sunglasses around elders is seen as disrespectful. That you're hiding something about yourself. And so you'll see people take their sunglasses off when they're speaking to somebody. So when you're in public, non-ceremonial, that you are showing your true self, who you are, right? In ceremony, when you paint your face, it has to do more with the spiritual part of you that's used as the creator's, how do I want to say this? That you're part of the creator's tool, right? That energy is flowing through you. And so the design, the color that you're using amplifies that energy coming through you, the creator's energy. I hope that makes sense. It's much like when we use a drum or a rattle or a bird's feather when we're working in ceremony. It's another layer of medicine, another layer of energy. So you have creator energy running through you. You have your own personal medicine that is layered on top of the creator's medicine. And then you have your tools medicine, whether it's the drum, the feather, the sage, the cedar. And so it comes in layers, right? And so it amplifies the healing. It amplifies the ceremony. So when you are painting your face in the colors, it's amplifying. And that's why it's usually used only in ceremony. Now I know in the Western world, there's this term, the war paint, right? And that they're usually referring to a woman's makeup or somebody who's wearing makeup. Hey, Pam Nelson. Thank you. Leslie Saranesi, ISpeakToAnimals.com. Perfect. Excellent. Thank you, Pam. Pam, my friend from Alaska. And so using that term war paint, and you're referring to someone who has makeup on, and usually it's pretty well done. So I have makeup on, but a lot of people can't tell I have makeup on. I wouldn't call that war paint. Not in my book anyway. And so the painted face is about it's about showing your true self, and sometimes when we're wearing a mask, when we're trying to hide behind something, and knowing the difference. And so that's why I was talking about ceremony, or in the old days, warriors wear. Sorry about that. One of my friends trying to get a hold of me. And so Jamie Sams, what she talks about the face paint is that sometimes the colors and the symbols that are used in ceremony are handed down through a teacher, or it's through the bloodline. And for instance, that if I did face paint, and I've only done that once, I would be using a thunderbolt, because that is my clan. Thunder is my clan. And through my grandfather, through my Misho. And so, they divide the face up a little bit. This is sky people and this is earth, right? And even left and right, what that means. And the colors and the symbols. And here, this is what really struck me in her definition. She says, every person carries a legacy of needed talents that will support the growth and expansion of the tribe. When the painted face is shown to the tribe's extended family during feasting or ceremony, those gifts are noted by the elders and can be called on in times of need. The painted face had no room for boasting because of one claimed a talent. It was communal. It was communal property in a sense that could be used to benefit the whole. So when you have claimed your gifts, you're expressing your gifts, you're using your gifts and the wisdom that you gained through your life experiences, and you're helping or assisting your community, right? You're walking the red road. That there's no need to be boastful about it. There's no need to show your face painted, because the elders have already identified by watching you, watching your behavior, what you do to offer help, what you've said. And so they know who they can kind of tap and say, could you come over here and help? Right? And so they're saying that you don't have to be boastful about it. You can offer your services and use your gifts. She says that remember that the gifts exposed by the painted face were talents that each person brought to the whole tribe as a giveaway. Now, we've had the giveaway card come up twice in a week. So they're talking about how we provide for our community. How we provide for our community. That it's not necessarily a monetary exchange, although what they're doing when you do charge a fee for your services, it's not about your gift that you're selling. It is about your time. The time. And the time it takes to help somebody. You're not charging for your gift. At least that's how I see it. Okay. It says it's good medicine when we assist others by sharing our abilities. As others prosper along with us, we gain a sense of self-worth that is not ego-based. All right. So the reason that jumped out at me when I took a look at this card is that if you are using your painted face as a part of your gift in ceremony, you're kind of you're hiding your ego. Your ego is not a part of it. But if you're painting your face and going into public, then it is about ego. That you don't want to show your face, your true self, right? Does that make sense? You know, sometimes I get philosophical and kind of go around in a circle. And here's what Jamie Sam says about the application of the card. She says, the painted face speaks of self-expression. It tells you to use your creativity in order to express your feelings, your talents, and your desires. Expressing who and what you are at any given moment is healing as well as productive. As you change and grow, you may feel the need to alter the way in which others perceive you. Changing your appearance, attitudes, activities to match the new you may be called for at this time. Okay, called for at this time. There might be some people who are not used to you setting boundaries or setting certain boundaries, and they may be uncomfortable with you for setting those boundaries. And that's why we get the painted face card. Right? Because she just said that. Makes sense to me. I'll read that again. As you change and grow, you may feel the need to alter the way in which others perceive you. Changing your appearance, attitudes, and activities to match the new you may be called for at this time. So in other words, setting that boundary. You will be perceived as different by some people when you do that. The keynote in this card asks you to open up and allow others to see your medicine. In that way, you are offering a gift to others who may have need of your talents. Don't deny how you feel, what you think, or what you can offer the world. In truth and with grace, it's now the time to allow the medicine of the self to emerge. You will never lose face by presenting the true self minus the self-importance. All right. So when you set your boundaries, you feel safe. You're in your sacred space. You're in your sacred space, and you feel safe so that you can be the real you. You can express your talents, your gifts, your experience. As you use your gifts, what did she say? That you are open and allow others to see your medicine. And I have to say, for me, that was spot on. That was spot on because I spent most of 2017 in a place that I wasn't able or didn't feel I could show my true medicine. I was going through that Saturn in my sun sign, which is all about dissolving the ego. And this particular card, she says, you'll never lose face by presenting the true self minus the self-importance. And the self-importance is about the ego, right? So for me, spot on. And so Jamie's poem for this card, Painted Face. Painted face expresses the inside of me. Not my nose or my eyes, the parts that others see. My feelings and my medicine are painted in design, colors of great mystery who created me in kind. I like that. I like that. So when we're in ceremony and we use our sacred face paint, right? When we're in ceremony, and when we're not in ceremony, when we're with the public, we're showing our true medicine uncovered. It's us. It's the true us, in order to be able to be of service to our community. And it takes guts to do that. It takes some courage to do that. So I'm so glad, really, it makes me happy that I'm able to sit down and share that card draw with you guys. It's been a hectic morning here, and to be able to slow down and share the information, my thoughts around it, and to wish you guys a good rest of the day. However you discern that information for yourself, take what feels good to you, what feels right to you. The other stuff, if it doesn't feel good, you just let it go. Pick out what feels good. And that's how I do that. When I read something, like in those card draws and what Jamie is writing about, and something jumps out at me, and in the writing, and that's my clue. That's Spirit saying, see this? See that? That's important for you right now. So whatever that was for you this morning in Painted Face or Sacred Space, take it, embrace it, and enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you for being with me. I'll see you tomorrow morning. And let me tell you, we're going to try to hit that 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. Central Time, okay? All right. Oh, sure. I can show them one more time. Absolutely. Polly Joe is asking. So here's the painted face. And that is about self-expression. Painted face. We'll bring it a little bit closer. Yeah. And here's the sacred space with the child, and it's about respect and creating the boundary, acknowledging your sacred space. And here they are together. There. You're welcome, everybody. You're welcome, Minnie. and enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow morning, okay? Bring your coffee or your tea. We'll have a good time. Bama Mina, until we see each other again.